thinking about why you would be enthusiastic about engaging in Athena SWAN. I mean, I think it's just a no-brainer. Why would you want to lose a large proportion of your very able students for them to leave science and to go into another career? I just don't understand why you would want to lose a large proportion of your staff.
I had read an article about gender equality when I was in my first postdoc and thought, it doesn't really apply to me. I think I passed through my career quite blind to it. I totally didn't notice that I didn't have any female lecturers when I was an undergraduate. But by the time I applied for this job, I really was noticing it. And it was starting to bother me a bit. And this job had a great big Swan Athena flag on the advert and said, you know, that we promote collegiality and flexible working hours, and we were inviting applications from women. And I just looked and thought, really? Wow, that looks... And then I started looking to see what Swan Athena was and thought, well, if they're signed up to all of that, that makes me even more sure.
I want our school to be seen to the outside world, to people who are considering coming here as either students, postdocs or academic members of staff, that we take equality and diversity very seriously.
The first thing maybe to think of is, do you have everything that you need to prepare this application? And when I'm thinking about everything that you need, I'm thinking about, okay, do you have the right people in your committee? Do you have all the expertise that you need?
You know, the bronze is about gathering the data together, and basically for most universities and most departments, once those processes are in place and once the university has a way of providing the data for you for all of the different categories of information that are required, once that's in place, then the bronze is relatively straightforward.
Essentially for the silver, it showed we got our act in order, we had the data, we could display that we were sort of no worse than the national average and that we had a few things in place to move things forward.
And then when you move into gold, well, you've done quite a lot of that already, so it's about thinking about new things that you could do that are likely to continue to be effective and useful for your department.
The thing that made a big difference, I think, for the Gold Award was having an ambitious action plan and a couple of years of demonstrating that that had been in place and that things were improving.
So it's about having actions that you know where you're going, you know what you want to achieve, and you know when you've achieved it. And whilst that may sound very straightforward now, the process that we went through to be able to agree what our targets were and then know whether we would have achieve those targets actually took a little bit more thought.
Well, our top tips for writing a gold application are to start early. And by that, we don't mean just start writing the report, but start putting things in place early.
That they should really make sure that this is a project of their department, that the whole department is taking on board.
Presenting the information very clearly. So just like a grant proposal or any other piece of work that you do as an academic, I think your application to Athena SWAN has to be a good read.
It's pretty much data on everything. So data from everything from the undergraduate entry pathways into the degree programmes, so the foundation degrees that allow you access into the bachelor degrees, right through the bachelor's degrees, the master's degrees, the PhD degrees, postdoctoral scientists, right up through faculty. And now, new data that's being required is data on the administration and technical staff.
It's really important to get support from the leadership of the department, but it's also really important to understand that this is not about ticking the box of having an Athena SWAN. It's really about trying to change the culture. So it's really having people thinking that this is going to make their department better.
Unless you do it for the best of reasons, it's not going to work. If it's seen as an administrative chore by especially your academic staff, then it's not going to work. It needs to be something you buy into intellectually, emotionally. It's something that has to be, that you leading your school and leading your staff into this, if you like, new era, it has to be something you believe in.
My name's Sarah Dickinson and I'm Head of Equality Charters at the Equality Challenge Unit. And one of the things that I head up is the Athena SWAN Charter. People often ask me for hints and tips about submissions and applications, and I think the first thing that I would tell people is that it's very time consuming. It takes a lot of time to put an Athena SWAN application together. They're around 12 to 12,500 words long. It involves a lot of data collection and analysis. I mean, it's basically like a dissertation. The next thing I often get asked is about the differences in award levels. And in a nutshell, at bronze level, we are looking for you to gather your data, to look at the policies and practices you already have in place, to identify the good, the bad, and in some cases the ugly, and put an action plan in place to address the bad and the ugly and continue the good. At silver level, we want you to have already put things in place. At silver, we're looking for evidence of impact. That doesn't have to be in staff numbers, although it'd be great if we could see an improvement in the proportion or numbers of women, but it can also be around knowledge or experience. So, for example, if you carried out a survey and the survey came back saying that 80% of the men in your department understood the promotion process, but only 20% of women did, and then as a result of that, you ran promotion workshops, you made sure it was covered in appraisal, you had one-to-one meetings with the women in the department, and then ran the survey again, and now 100% of the men and the women understood the promotion process, that would be evidence of impact. At gold level, we're looking for departments and universities to be beacons of achievement. You need to be doing something that's really quite out there and extraordinary. At gold level, we also need you to be going out and championing good practice and championing Athena SWAN as well. Finally, some hints and tips from a panel. If you've got a complex department or faculty structure, put in a diagram. There is a word limit for the application, but there's no space limit, and diagrams can really sort of help show what's going on in the faculty or the department. My second big point is around analysing the data. We don't want you just to describe what's going on, we want to know why you think that's going on, or even why you know it's going on. And my final point is around the word count. Please do stick to the word count. We have to spend so much time sending applications back, and there is a risk that your application won't be assessed if you don't stick to the word count.